So you'll have to forgive me for keeping my helmet on. Quick walk around of the bike. Well, as best as I can. Bit windswept up here, so I won't be out here for long. Yeah, caught a bit of sunshine as well. Excellent. So yeah, yesterday I had to take off this panel, a little plastic panel underneath, obviously the other side, and I also had to take off the clocks which were mounted in this plastic surround, so all the way from here to here, all that had to come out. The thing I didn't want to do, I've done. Basically to replace the windscreen, which was fairly painful, getting the windscreen out from kind of this area of the fairing, and to fit the Evotech crash bungs. So they come with a mounting frame which is partially hidden behind the fairing. When I got this bike, I actually spec'd another additional extra, which was the tank ring, because I thought it was compatible with my Evotech tank bag. Turns out that it wasn't. So I had to buy another tank ring and take the one off that I actually bought with the bike. That was a bit annoying. Also have the Evotech rack on the back. Now that, I think, disguises the overly long tail tidy. I'm not then in a rush to replace the tail tidy. I think it looks okay. Not only that, I've got a bit of a surprise in store. Surprise! Yes, now some of you may well groan at the appearance of the bike now, but as you might know if you follow the channel, I do like a practical bike and I do like a top box. I do like having a boot on a bike. So, how do I get a Givy top box on an Evotech rack, I hear you ask? Well, maybe one or two of you will ask. Most of you don't care. So, yes, Evotech make an adapter plate for a Givy mono key rack. Now, when I first heard about this plate, this adapter plate, I assumed it would be £100, but this kind of thermoplastic plate actually only cost me 40 quid. So I'm pretty chuffed. I think that's quite a bargain to allow me to fit my Givy top boxes. Then, oh, if I can do this one-handed, which I probably can't. And then, job done. With a tank bag and that little top box, I think this bike's really well set up for a nice weekend away somewhere. That is certainly going to be a plan some point in the near future. Well, maybe when it warms up a little bit. The screen, well, I think the raise, the little bubble section, has lifted the wind off the front of my crash helmet, which is good. It does seem that maybe this little bit is putting some wind on my shoulders, but it's only 9 degrees outside, so I'm probably noticing it a bit more than I would in the summer. But I think that's made a positive impact, actually. One more thing I added yesterday, which you might not be able to see, is the Evotech radiator guard. I'm glad I've got that fitted. So yeah, that is me. That's my bike. Really happy with kind of how it is currently. So let's continue riding. Hi folks, just summing up the video from today. Now I had a good ride. Unfortunately, my GoPro didn't have a good ride. The audio cut out. That was recording my helmet mic. It cut out about 20 minutes into my 3-hour ride. So at the beginning of the ride, fine, check the audio levels, they were there. So I assumed it would continue recording throughout the entire journey. Never assume. And yeah, even before I stopped riding for the little walk around, the audio had failed. I digress. What's the summary? So now I can ride this bike up to 7,500 RPM, which is great. So I did a bit of that. And yeah, it feels like, strictly speaking, you don't need any more performance now. That's fast enough for the road, essentially. Although, you know, more power would never hurt. But 7,500 RPM is technically 100 mile an hour on top, so I've been told. It grunts up there. It accelerates nicely now through the gears to those revs. The funny thing is that if I look at the owner's manual for the bike, it says now 7,500 RPM is supposedly your limit between 500 and 1,000 miles. Seems very conservative. So I have a first service lined up at the end of the month with Fraser's, and I would have thought after the first service you're fine to rev wherever you want within reason. So I'll double check that with the shop when I get the bike serviced, but can't believe even after a first service they would limit you to 7,500 RPM for another 300 plus miles. Anyway, so as the miles clicked on today, the overriding feeling I had from the bike is just that it fits me very well ergonomically. With me being 5'7", 32-inch inside leg, 75 kilos plus gear, it just fits me really nicely. I'll even get on the bike now and show you, since I have a camera pointing at me, which doesn't happen very often. So yeah, not too tight for the legs, good reach to the bars. Yeah, it's just a nice fit for me, which I like a lot. Unlike the BMW over there, which I love dearly, but it is a big bike for not a very big person. So I feel a little bit stretched out on that machine. This machine, yeah, suits me down to the ground. Any new observations since I was able to raise the rev limit to 7,500 RPM? Well, unfortunately, yes. As I continue to ride, I wasn't riding at higher revs all the time. I'm able to use more revs. But as the ride went on today, I started to get tingling and numbness in my left hand, which I didn't have on last week's ride. Over 450 miles last weekend. I only had it a little bit in the right hand. So yeah, vibration in both hands, making both sets of fingers numb in places, is a bit disappointing, but it's still early days. So you know, the bike's still very much bedding in. So that will change, hopefully for the better, as the miles pile on. One thing I did during the week was reduce the rear preload from setting 4 out of 7 to setting 3 out of 7. And that has been a big improvement for me. What I felt with the original preload setting is that the shock basically wasn't working. I wasn't putting enough weight on the bike to activate the shock. So kind of under undulations on the road, the bike it wouldn't suspend. You'd be going up and down with the bumps. Now I feel the suspension working since I've reduced the preload. So that's probably as best as I can get it without spending money on upgrading the suspension. As you may know, front end is completely unadjustable. I'm happy enough with the front end though. I've got no complaints with the front forks. Maybe now I've sorted out the back, I could pay a bit more attention to the front. But overall, the suspension front to rear now is much better balanced. Yeah, since I've reduced some of the stiffness out of the rear end, I'm much happier riding this bike. And that's just improved the level for me for this bike. It's got good suspension. I won't say great suspension, and it's still early days. It's got good suspension, but it has got great brakes front and rear. They are strong and they're progressive, and they've got pretty good feel to them, I think. So yeah, I'm happy with the brakes, happy with the suspension, happy with the engine from what I've experienced so far. Now, one thing this bike is not, I would say, is flickable. In the middleweight sports bike market, which is quite crowded nowadays, if you want a lightweight handling, flickable motorbike for fun on the back roads, you'll probably be better served with an Aprilia RS660 or Yamaha R7, or maybe that new CF Moto 675, or even the Japanese 600s, because they're still on the market, the Kawasaki and the Honda. This has a stability about it, a weight to it. When you try and flick it left and right, you've got to kind of use your hips and use your body to help move the bike forwards. It's not just a flick on the handlebars and the thing gets down on its ear. Might have something to do with the tyres. Dunlop Road Smarts, I do think they are. So yeah, I'm looking to upgrade the tyres at some point in the near future. Stay tuned. It's not the lightest handling of motorbikes, but for me, I like that. I like the fact there's no surprises. That means you can get on with the job of going fast down the road without being distracted by the bike misbehaving. Hasn't misbehaved yet, really, so far in about 600 miles I've done now. So if you like to see more content on my GSX-8R, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that, and it'd be great to have you here. And please join in on the comments as well, so I can get to see who you are, where you're from, and what your thoughts are on a bike like this. Until the next video, folks, well, I'll give you some plans about what I'm doing with this bike this year. I'll see you soon. Ta-da.